um, canceled out my recording there for a minute, so I just had to start from where I was. So continuing with this thought where I was at, again, we are just, and the reader and the speaker and even ourselves, we are just trying to find peace in a difficult time. And what he's doing, especially here, he is escaping all that is difficult. When grief and pain and raging doubt, when our mind is filled and our hearts are filled with grief, our hearts are filled with pain, we have raging doubt about this uncertainty or any uncertain time, where men and creeds have worn it out. Maybe he's watching too much social media. Maybe he's listening too much to the news. Instead, what he does is he goes out and is one with the sounds and the sights and the joy of just being with nature. So I want you to just draw a line here, because you're going to notice that in a minute, a little bit, to say the bird song and the water's drone. So bird song is imagery, water's drone is imagery because we are hearing it. The humming bee's low monotone. This is Mrs. Whedon's favorite line. The bird songs and the water's drone, the humming bee's low monotone. She literally was so excited because of how strong he is portraying the sounds of summer. She even was like, can you just hear the humming of the bird and I'm sorry, the singing of the bird and the humming of the bees and the low monotone as it's buzzing by? She got really excited when we were reading together. ELA teachers. We're going to continue on. It goes on. The murmur of the passing breeze. I almost picture like a low sound, the murmur of the passing breeze, and all the sounds akin to these. Akin would be similar to these. And all of those types of sounds, the murmurs, the monotones, the bird songs, the water's drone. And in Saratoga, our sounds would be very different. But here in this particular poem, like a mossy creek, what it says exactly, a mossy bank. We're fishing, we're watching the willow trees actually droop and kiss the stream, and we're hearing all of these sounds, and we're seeing all of these sights and smelling all of these smells in correlation to the summertime. It goes on to say, that make a man in summertime feel only fit for rest and rhyme. Again, with that alliteration, I'm going back to my numbering. 25, monotone is 30, 35, new is 40, 45 is me. So just follow along. So when we were reading this, when Mrs. Whedon and I were reading this, to feel fit for rest and rhyme. I'm not going to highlight that because that's not really imagery. But what this is saying and reiterating again as a pattern within this poem is to really just enjoy nature and to just be one with nature. Breathe it in or drink it in like it says up here. Hear the sights and sounds. Close your eyes sometimes and just be one with nature. And it is very therapeutic, especially when you are struggling with grief and pain and raging doubt. So continuing on, I'm going to have you draw a line here again. And his tone changes here. Because here we're a little bit sad. We're kind of, do I dare say, we're a little bit in a funk. We're sitting on that mossy grass. We might be a little bit tired. Might be dealing a little bit with some, independent thought and reflection. And then as he's with these birds singing and the water trickling and the bees buzzing and the passing breeze, and as he's drinking in the summer air, you see in this line 35, joy springs all radiant in my breast. I see him kind of beaming with energy in this line 35. He is experiencing gratitude for the simplicity of nature. And then it goes on to say, though pauper poor, then king more blessed. So king more blessed, he's saying, I might be very poor with money in comparison to a king that is more blessed. He realizes, I may not be wealthy, I may not be physically wealthy, but he is able to appreciate the plethora of wealth around him. And he's almost saying here, this is enough for me. I'm rich enough with all of these small things within nature surrounding me each and every day. Goes on to say, the tide beats in my soul so strong. Soul so strong, alliteration. That happiness breaks forth in song. I almost can see him. And we do this. Let's face it. When we're super happy, I see you guys dancing. I see you guys singing. I see you guys, whistling and snapping your fingers and bopping to some particular beat that's happening in your earbud. So that happiness breaks forth in song. It's almost like he went from being a little bit so sad and kind of at one with himself up here throughout the poem. And then down here, that happiness kind of clicks inside of him. And it breaks forth in song. And rings aloud the welkin blue. Hello, there we are, that blue color again. With all the songs I never knew. Oh, time of rapture and time of song. He's almost screaming it at this point. Because he is just loving being with nature, the beauty of summer, the flowers, the sights, the sounds, the smell, the birds chirping. He's able to see just the wealth and the richness around him and appreciate it. How swiftly glide thy days along, adown the current of the years, above the rocks of grief and tears. So he's saying, no more grief, no more tears. Instead, I'm going to sing. I'm going to have happiness. I'm going to be proud within my soul. I'm going to have joy. I'm going to be radiant and proud. And the last two lines again with Mrs. Whedon. She said, and if this poem does not speak to you enough, this last statement must. So he goes on to say, 'tis wealth enough of joy for me in summertime to simply be. So he says here, I am all about nature. I'm all about its beauty. Even just as I'm closely reading this poem with you, I'm bringing myself to a place in nature, and I too am beaming joy and having happiness right now and feeling the richness of nature. Even though I'm not in nature, I'm sitting at a computer talking to you. This allows me, though, to just picture a moment of nature, and I'm allowed to appreciate its beauty. I'm able to capture its natural elements and to be one with it. Okay? So it's my hope that you're able to follow along. And what's cool about a video is that you can pause and rewind at any time. You're going to now, hopefully, after you've done a close read, you are either having it within your Flipgrid and showing it to Mrs. Weeden and myself, and talking about maybe what you've learned from this particular poem. Another thing that you can do is take a picture of it on your phone. As you're able to see in my Flipgrid, I actually use my phone when I'm referencing something within nature. And one other thing I just want to point out to you, my 2 lines that I reference within my poem are, "And wend my way in woodland tramp, where forest rustles tree on tree." This is what I talk about within my Flipgrid. Mrs. Weeden is probably going to talk about something else in her Flipgrid. And then I also talk too about when grief and pain and raging doubt of men and creeds have worn it out. So you're going to see that in my Flipgrid as well. I'm curious to watch Mrs. Weeden's Flipgrid and to see many of your examples. Remember that your nature example can be as small, and when I say small, I'm thinking a ladybug small. And oh, the story a ladybug could tell, and how we could appreciate the beauty and simplicity of a ladybug. And you can talk about something as small as that in nature that speaks to you, or you can talk about something as big as a pine tree and what that says to you. So turn it over now to my Flipgrid, and we're looking forward to seeing your smiling faces on Flipgrid. I can't wait to see your videos. Have a wonderful week. If you have any questions, please make sure, don't hesitate to reach out to Mrs. Weeden or I. We miss you guys tons.